How can you be so sick and yet somehow
You make it through.
you make it through? And my conclusion is the body does have wisdom to it, that it knows how much you can handle, and it'll try to get rid of these toxins as fast as it can, but not any more than that. And that's why you don't die. It's because it will not pump out any more toxins than
Absolutely needed.
you can take, right?
Yeah.
So if you go out to the desert and get clear, where the body doesn't sense any external exposures, nothing that's threatening to put you over tolerance, it will proceed to unleash these toxins.
So you're going to feel horrible, aren't you?
Well,
Sounds like a detox period.
Actually, you don't feel as bad as you would
have
think.
been. Oh, okay.
Because
So even though your body's releasing this junk in you finally.
Right, the body will control the rate of release, so you feel kind of bad, but not horribly bad.
Okay.
And
So maybe that gives a great time, timeline.
You can look at people's experience, and you see if they truly break free of mold. I mean, if they've gotten rid of everything, they do pretty darn good. They're living in a tent out of the desert, and they're hiking, and they're active, and they're relatively pain-free.
Yeah.
And then they come into contact with a few molecules, like they go back to their car, or their sleeping bag that has been used a couple times, and they've been exuding toxins into it. And then they get exposed to that, and then they feel terrible.
Okay, so somebody had the strategy of going out living in a tent.
Oh yeah, well, I was talking about the body's innate wisdom in allowing itself to detox at a safe rate.
So it doesn't kill you.
So it doesn't kill you.
Your body doesn't kill itself.
Right.
So
right.
your body wants to self-preserve, you're saying.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So what we're
I think I do too.
So what we're seeing here is not so much of a toxic response as a response of our own body's way of dealing with a toxic response in a manner that's least detrimental.
Sure.
And it does this by leptin signaling.
Okay, what is that?
Leptin is the enzyme that controls the passage of fats in and out of the cells.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things that they thought was going to be a marker for chronic fatigue syndrome was elevated leptin.
Letting go of more fat.
Yeah, it seems like people I think the elevated leptin is actually keeping the fat locked in place.
Oh.
It's not allowing it to release.
Because it's a protection mechanism. The body's putting fat on to protect itself from the toxins you ate.
Yeah, you know why pesticides work, why they kill insects but not humans, is insects have no fat. So when they get a toxin, it goes straight to the nerves and it kills them instantly. They can't deal with it. Now when we get exposed to that pesticide, it will try to get to our nerves, but it can't because we've got fat. Our bodies are adapted to process these toxins and store them safely, or maybe slowly,
there you go.
so that it doesn't kill us right away.
Sure.
And since we've got this regulatory mechanism, we can sequester toxins that we can't handle in our fats for later processing.
In a safe way.
Yeah, and leptin seems to be the primary director for this in and out mechanism. And when we get into a safe place, I believe that when the body senses that it's okay to start letting some of this go, then the leptin signaling will allow as much of it to release as it possibly can. And the moment we come into an exposure with something our body doesn't like, all of a sudden it realizes it's gone over tolerance, we're in real danger, and that's when people really feel terrible.
Interesting thought.
But you look carefully at the stories of the mold avoiders, and those people who get clear and stay clear don't have these terrible problems until they were re-exposed. So it's really not all that painful getting out there and detoxing in the desert.
That's great. So phase one of it, so how, okay, to walk through phase one, how do I know when I'm done with phase one? Or I know you may never, maybe it's a continual thing to do the rest of your life. But let's just talk about the first time. How do I know when I'm, quote, unmasked? What does that look like? So I felt horrible before. So at what point of good do I feel? Then I say, okay, I reached at least phase one so I can go back and feel, but see what I'm dealing with.
If you have a set quantity that you were reacting to, and you get clear and you respond to that same thing in a more intense way than you did when you left, that shows you're unmasked.
Interesting.
That's how you know that it's happened.
So that would be the very definition of unmasked then.
Yeah.
So when you go back to the very same toxin you used to feel.
If you left a moldy place, but you were totally contaminated, if you didn't break free, for one thing, you wouldn't feel all that much better. And when you got back to that place, your reaction wouldn't be very extreme because you didn't change anything. Your rate of release didn't change. You had a nice little vacation, but essentially,
it wasn't enough.
From an immunological standpoint, nothing really happened.
I see.
Now, when
So you're looking for that to happen. So you would try, say, I went out on a weekend. I went for 2 days. I went to a pristine area, whatever that looks like. I went to a pristine area, and I came back, and I didn't feel a difference.
yeah, you didn't unmask.
You weren't unmasked yet. So
Yeah.
you got to go, well, a 2-day weekend's not enough. Let's try a 3-day.
Yeah,
Let's try a week.
when Jen Brea, the documentary maker who did the film Unrest, when she came out to Incline and I explained this to her, she went out to Moab to do the desert experiment and wound up walking more in one day than she had the entire previous year. That's dramatic.
That's extremely dramatic. That's statistically, what? Significant.
I thought so.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, they posted about it. They said, this is astonishing. We did this experiment to find out if she was really reacting to mold. And she has this dramatic improvement. And that's part of the equation. So clearly she had unmasked. That part was successful. What about the rest of it? What happened afterwards?
What's next?
Right. What happened?
Okay, so I unmasked. Then what? What's this phase 2 look like?
Well, she went.
What does it mean to be mold intelligent?
She went home, tried to approach the very house that she had been living in, that was her normal, and found that she couldn't walk in the door.